The other thing with, you're right, with hospitality is first off, you end up meeting people from like all over the world. We were a travel destination. You start to realize that like people are at their worst when they're like hungry or tired, which is usually how they show up. And so you kind of, it creates like a little bit of patience for humans, because you realize if someone's a jerk, you're like, well, it might not be actually who they are. It's like, you don't say that's who they are. You're like, this might be what they're at right now. And it makes you pretty good at being like gracious up to a limit, because you have to be gracious, but you also you have to be like polite and friendly, warm and responding. And then there's a point where you're like, all right, we're going to have to pick you over my shoulder and throw you out the goddamn building. And there needs to be that balance. You can communicate that with a smile. So like, I think that stuff helps. And just like when you meet people, like the experiences you had in Berkeley, you meet people with lots of different like lives that they're living. It like helps. It's kind of the same thing that travel does. And, it sheds your presumptions about how people are. And so it lets you kind of like give a little more flexibility and a little realization that you kind of like don't know about everything about a person right away. You get a sense of like the universal things, like, which is like useful. I'm saying this because it's relevant in negotiation and it's relevant in business, that when I'm sitting down with someone, I do everything I can to know. I don't like sitting down in front of someone I don't know yet. So I do my research, but ultimately like it's new, and being able to read body language and to be able to like, remember, forget, but not sweat like little perceived weird things that they're doing. You just get like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll remember, but I'm going to try to like figure this person out without too much assumptions, so that I can give there to be enough space to establish a connection, which I think is important, because like a lot of business ultimately comes down to how much somebody likes you. And so being able to be likable, but not a pushover, I think is another property of startups, because you have to be pushy enough to make these things win. But if you annoy the hell out of everyone around you, and I've seen startup people are going around, they're like badgering me on calls and like, I don't know. I was like, look, I know you think pushy is the answer, but that's not the only answer. It has to be pushy smooth in a way that you're benefiting the community and not getting on everybody's nerves.